In this video I show you how I paint Codsworth from Fallout Wasteland Warefare. Hello, this is Craig from Bitzbox.co.uk. So in this video I'm going to show you how I paint Codsworth from the Fallout Wasteland Warfare miniature game. This is the first in a few videos where I'll be showing you how to paint different miniatures from the game. And if you love all things miniature wargaming and you especially don't want to miss any of those videos coming up, then please do hit that subscribe icon and you can hit that bell icon to get notifications when those videos go live as well. Before we begin, I just want to give a big shout out and a massive thank you to all our patrons who you can see on the screen right now. And because of these guys I have been able to purchase a new lens for our camera so I can get much better close-up shots. I've been playing around with it in this video, so I do apologise. There's a couple of times where it does go a little bit out of focus, but hopefully the picture quality is an improvement on our previous videos. I've still got to play around with the lighting a little bit just to get it perfect. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this video. And if you want to see more details on our Patreon, the link is down below. So let's get straight into it. So here we have our Codsworth miniature. He has been primed in a light grey primer from Army Painter, but you can prime him in any colour you so wish, and black or white would work equally as well here. So we're going to start base coating him with some Ledbelcher. And I'm just applying it straight out of the pot here, and that will go on nicely in one coat. If you have primed him in black, I would recommend doing a couple of thin coats just to get a nice, good, even coverage. Once that is dry, we can now begin to add some shade to the miniature. And the shade we're going to use is Agrax Earthshade. So I'm using Citadel paints for all these videos. And I'm just going to apply this on all over. And quite heavily, straight out of the pot once again, but I am spreading it around so we get a nice even coverage. And this will just slightly tint the surface and darken all the recessed areas. And when that's dry, it'll look something like this, so it dirties up the metal as well. So I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to get some Nightnaunt Gloom. So on the reference pictures I've used for Codsworth, I've noticed that he sort of has this sort of sky-earth reflection going on. So if you notice from any reference pictures, you'll see like the sky is reflected in sort of the top parts of his armours, and that's what I'm sort of going for here. Now this is going to be quite subtle in the final result, but I've just sort of thinned it out and then sort of just dragging it around the top half of the miniature. And I'm sorry it's kind of a little bit out of focus there, but when it's dry you'll see it sort of gives us this sort of blue sheen to the metal. And we're going to come back with some Agrax Earthshade and do the same underneath. So this is to represent reflecting the earth. And again I'm just using it straight out of the pot here and just I'm using slightly less on my brush this time, just so we can move it around evenly, and this is more to tint the surface than it is to darken the recesses as we did previously. And you might want to do a couple of coats of this depending on how strong you want this to be. So with both of them dry, we can now start adding some highlights. So I'm going to take some Ironbreaker and I'm going to dry brush this. So I'm mainly going to focus around the sort of top areas and sort of central areas as well. You can see where the light is already reflecting off this miniature. We're going to sort of hit these areas to represent the light hitting him in those areas. And doing a little bit on the top as well. Now you'll notice that the blue that we did before is now a lot more subtle, which is sort of the effect we're going for. So I'm now going to take some Necron Compound and I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but just be a little bit more precise with it this time. So just catching like the central areas of where we want the reflections to be. And being a bit lighter, just building it up gradually. It's a bit hard to see on the camera, but I'm just gradually building it up and just catching those little raised areas. And of course don't forget to focus on the arms for all these steps as well. So next we're going to come in with some Typhus Corrosion, and this is to give them like some dirty, weathered looks. Now I've watered it down here, and just applying it in random little patches. I'm also going to come in with some non-watered Typhus Corrosion as well to do some sort of darker looking patches, and I'm also using some of the thinned Typhus Corrosion to do sort of like grime marks that are sort of running off him. So really just apply it wherever you feel like you want to apply it. I'm just going to go all around the miniature, just applying it in random little areas where I think the grease and rust would build up. So next we're going to take some Abaddon Black, and this is for his little stand. And one thing that did disappoint me with this miniature is that he hasn't got a transparent stand like a lot of sort of flying miniatures usually have in miniature wargaming. So I'm just going to paint it black. Now you obviously can just paint it any colour you want. In hindsight, I probably wish I'd have just snipped it off and just glued him to the base via his arms. But c'est la vie. So once that is dry, I'm going to come in with some Averland Sunset. So this is to paint the flames coming out of the bottom of him. Again, I do apologise that we sort of went out of focus a little bit here, but you can see where I'm applying this. And I'm doing 2 thin coats of this colour. Despite it being a base paint, I do feel it does need a couple of thin coats. We're next going to take some Trollslayer Orange. I'm going to thin this out ever so slightly, and I'm going to paint the bottom half of these flames. So I'm just going for a really simple tabletop standard look on these flames. You can of course use several colours, transition up a nice little gradient if you so wish, but for me I'm just using the yellow and the orange, and I'm going to tie them both together with some Fuegan Orange shade. So this will bring both colours closer together, and will also darken them recesses quite nicely. And that'll give us a nice, very simple little flame look to this miniature. So the next step in painting Codsworth is to do his base. And I'm going to start with some Baneblade Brown here. So the base is a little bit hard to film on camera without getting my fingers in the way, so I apologise there, but I'm just going to apply this over the majority of the base. And I have thinned it out so it gets into all them little recessed areas. And you may need a couple of thin coats if you're doing it this way. Next up, we're going to take some Rhinox Hide, and this is to paint the little wooden plank quarters on his base. As you can see, the Baneblade Brown hasn't quite fully dried at this stage, but that's no worries, I can just go straight onto this little bit. And I'm sorry, Codsworth's head is in the way. Now, once both of these colours have dried, we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade, and it's worth pointing out at this stage there is a little sort of metal thing on his base that I've also painted in Ledbelcher. You can just paint that up exactly the same way you painted up Codsworth himself. And I'm applying the Agrax Earthshade over everything on the base. This will tie it all in nicely together and give it that good shade in all the recesses. And once that's dry, we can now begin our highlights. I'm going to start with some Ushabti Bone. And I'm just going to dry brush this over all the Baneblade Brown and Rhinox Hide areas. I apologise again for my fingers getting in the way. So, lastly, I just want to paint the Nuka-Cola bottle on his base, and we're going to start by taking some Rhinox Hide for this. This is to represent a full bottle. If you want to do an empty bottle, I would suggest maybe taking something like Fenrisian Grey, or any sort of light grey or bluey grey. Then I'm going to take some Evil Sunz Scarlet. So this is going to just paint the label on the Nuka-Cola bottle. So just very carefully, just do a little oval of this colour. You can even go a step further and take some white paint to paint on the little details on the label, but I decided just to leave it at this point. So next up, I'm just going to finish the base off by taking some Ryza Rust. And I'm just going to dry brush it in random little areas on the base. Now this step is optional, you don't have to do it this way. You can of course paint your bases however you want, but this is just how I've been painting mine. I feel this Ryza Rust just adds like some sort of dust effects over the base. And with that done, all I had to do was then paint the rim of the base in Abaddon Black, and Codsworth is complete. So he's a fun little miniature to paint, quite simple really, as the majority of him is just this sort of rusted metal look, and I'm really happy with the results. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and if you have, please give it a thumbs up. It is slightly different than our usual painting tutorials. I have been using a different lens, so I do apologise if the focus and the lighting isn't quite 100% yet, but I will keep working on it, and hopefully over the course of these Fallout videos, they will improve. So yeah, if you want to keep a lookout for the future Fallout videos, then you can of course hit that subscribe button, ring the bell icon so you never miss a thing, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all again in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. You can also click that bell icon to be notified when a new video has gone live on this channel. On the screen now are 2 more videos that you may wish to check out, and a link to our Patreon page also. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.